it's long since gone, the days of old OMGs. We're getting to draft, and that Tristana we talked about, Kitty, long gone are the days where that's left up as a first pick. So Kaisa it is for OMG to pick up.
We have received a slight change up in bans, especially from the side of OMG. They took away Uzi Xayah, and that is one of my biggest questions coming from the EDG side, because we've seen how much Uzi really relies on Xayah and Kaisa in the current meta. We have also seen a lot of bans from their WE series where it was the Ashe and Vayne consistently getting slammed away from Uzi, so that could potentially be something that Uzi considers, especially with them saving that counter spot for Meiko. I'm assuming where we could see an Ashe and Braum coming into this game 3, but Creme once again locking in the Yone, but this time around FoFo having this LeBlanc. I really want to see FoFo play this LeBlanc right, because they were so close to really taking that series. I believe it was singular game win up against WE, but they threw it, they fumbled it, Hysterics.
Yeah, and again, sad. I mean, FoFo back on the LeBlanc. You love to see it at the very least up against Creme on the Yone. He's just running it back. He's like, it wasn't the Yone. And to be fair, he was the best player out of OMG last game. So I don't blame him for wanting to run it back now with a different 2v2 on the bot side as Arla gets his Jax. And if we're talking about champions as a bit of a run back here, Arla's second most played of the split, one of his favorite historically as well. It's got to be this Jax.
Yeah, and with the Cassante gone, you're expecting something like the Cannon also taken away from Shanji, which is just straight up comfort for the top laner of OMG. So what is going to be his response into Arla's Jax? I'm not too sure just quite yet. He just played a Malphite game. Oh my, can we see a Kennen game from Shanji in this game 3? We already have the Rell locked in, which potentially could also be flexed towards that jungle position as well. So OMG have a lot of options to consider so far into the draft. But I still feel like with Arla being on his comfort champion for Jax, they have such a huge win con in the side lane push. And honestly, Arla's form in this current series is also looking really good.
Yeah, true. I mean, again, in both games, you'd say that Arla's been pretty decent enough, especially in that last game, as you wanted to allude to what was happening on the top side for OMG. We'll hold on that, because for now, we need to see what's going into the bot lane for EDG. As they're going up against Rell, Kaisa, left and available, the Xayah's gone, the Tristana's gone as an option on the bot side. They are going to leave counter pick for Uzi here to see what he's dealing with, as Meiko on that classic engage to partner up with Jiejie.
But what can you pick as a counter? Because you already know that most likely is going to be Kaisa AD carry, and you're up against a Poppy and Rell. So, will we be getting a Vayne in game 3 from Uzi is going to be the question. I mean, that is going to secure themselves a Rell jungle in the hands of Aki, the first time he's going to be playing this in 13-13. So this is going to be a spicy one, Hysterics.
And against Poppy, Q doesn't get interrupted by W on Poppy, does it, as Vayne? Because it's a tumbles a dash? Or is it movement? Anyway.
Pause, champ.
We'll find out. We will find out. We will find out. Surely, we will find out Uzi's Vayne. Not only have we seen it in regular season. If I'm hyping this up and it doesn't happen, then I'd be sad, but it does. Uzi's Vayne, second time this split. But Uzi's Vayne, all the same, in playoffs. This is it. My God. It's like getting Christmas in July.
The red glasses return for EDG. Uzi has only played the Vayne once in the summer split into a very similar composition as well, but that was a dominating performance out of the AD carry for EDG, and he's looking to do it again, continue this 100% win rate as well for the side of EDG.
It's a Summoner's Rift, as I can't wait to see how this one plays out. All right. Now, the biggest question, Kitty, as Aki lurks in the brush on his Rell jungle, which I know we didn't get a chance to talk about. It's funny now because Shadow played it, you know, quite a bit only yesterday. That on top of that, I think more importantly, you know, it has been popping up. Kanavi played it, first to play it in the LPL. We didn't get a chance to talk about it here, Kitty, but it adds a lot of engage potential, as it's funny because you've got, I guess, another jungler technically up in that top side by the likes of Shanji on the Puppy. So a lot of disengage and engage to finalize my point up against EDG.
Personally, I would love seeing Rell as that counter pick into Sejuani's nowadays because of the rise in popularity ever since the 13.12 changes to this champion. Riot's decided to make her a flex and give her bonus magic damage to camps as well. So even her clear in the jungle is going to be extremely fast compared to something like the Sejuani. And there's a reason why a lot of people prefer this matchup. It's because you see Sejuani often as a bully in the early game. However, up against Rell, you can't really do that. She just CCs you to death. The W hits.
Okay, there's actually a hard engage. Uzi on the Vayne, already in distress. Look at the health bar. Both pots going to be used, and already, or rather only one, I should say. Uzi's just sent back in the lane. Cleanse used as well, Kitty. That's great for OMG's 2v2.
I spy with my little eye. I think FoFo's going full AP LeBlanc this game. And this time around, Uzi's gonna be going Static Shiv on the Vayne, as we have a lot of minion DMATs both chosen by the bottom laners in this game 3. But still, I mean, you see Arky putting down some aggressive vision wards to spot out Jiejie and really stop that potential gank angle that has been a really big pain for Ppgod and able to deal with.
Jiejie's coming through the lane. I mean, Arky hasn't spotted him out as he does the blue buff. Ward placed over the side. I believe it's giving information here as Jiejie now spotted by his own. But the blue is still being pulled out, but the patience is going to wear thin. And Arky just has to back away. Jiejie catches it on the back end, though, as Arky's thinking about a revisit, but pulls away. And so at the end of the day, Arky just wasting his time a little bit. Jiejie was already down here.
I wouldn't be surprised if Arky looks again. You already see him positioning very aggressively as well, but he doesn't have mid lane priority to work off, so FoFo could potentially make a visit if he's not too careful. Can we just say that Jiejie is so scared he queued over the wall after smiting?
True. He's scared about the all-in threat. Arky, at least in the meantime, will get Scuttle in this river. But again, he was able to at least get his 2 camps. So EDG's jungler still in a decent place here as Wolves to go. But it will mean that Arky, with the tempo it feels like we're looking at here, will be able to get topside Scuttle, crossing mid lane now to achieve it. And then his full topside camp to go. So really not a bad catch-up routine here from Arky on this Rell. As Kitty, every time that I've seen Rell in jungle, I have to say, I'm also kind of surprised out of the damage that's coming out of this champion that often offers not too much damage here in the bottom lane.
It's okay, because all Rell needs to do is have so much CC for the enemy team. Creme's gonna get ganked here, though.
And he flashes. Permafrost is 1 inch away. Jiejie finds him. He went out of his body only to have a bad experience. Jiejie and FoFo at half HP, but it matters not. Arky does nothing. And FoFo picks up first blood.
That's the flash out of Creme as well. FoFo with the wave slow pushing in to the LeBlanc side. I mean, that's a perfect first blood. W hits.
Well, the 2v2, things are spicing up. Uzi all leaning onto Ppgod, but he can't get it now. Abel just wants the second skin, and he finds the auto to finish the deal. Meiko's up next, and Abel picks up a double. For the first time in this series, the 2v2 is going OMG's way.
That's not the start that you want to be seeing for Uzi's Vayne, but that's a bit of a sneaky pink wall getting placed by, I believe, Shanji. Maybe a misclick. He had cookies running as well, but double kill into Abel's pocket is huge for the bottom lane 2v2. That frees up Ppgod to now link up with Arky as well, as we get a replay of what happened in mid lane. Creme should have just walked up. He had Arky clearing the Raptor camp as well, so the Rell would have had faster access to the 2v2, but I just feel like this was a bit of a directional mistake from how Creme executed the escape, as at the very end it was first blood going into FoFo's pocket, and now the CC both hitting onto the supports. But I mean, I thought OMG was going to lose this with the huge wave, but Uzi didn't have extra range to secure that kill onto Ppgod, and because he committed everything, this Kaisa just popped off.
He condemned Ppgod, but it must have been a fraction away from the wall. So Condemned didn't get a stun. Ppgod was able to walk away and Uzi couldn't get the kill. Unfortunate, but as you said, Abel getting a double kill is massive. As what's happening here? Hex Flash? Hook? Oh my god! Wait. He had
That's
the flash.
insane.
What is that hook? Meiko needs to be checked. That's crazy as Jiejie lying away. Ppgod engaged in this as he picks up a kill now at the 3v2. A great shattering strike, but Aki's in danger. Uzi might not be 6, but all he needs is a silver bullet as he finds Abel. Re-engage from Aki. Oh no!
Oh!
You're about to give Uzi a double on Vayne.
How does it go from bad to worse from the side of OMG? Uzi completely cracks Ppgod's ankles with this Vayne, and now he picks up 2 kills and a play. Completely salvaged how the 2v2 went from that early game, and EDG back in full control. They reset. Now, I believe Noonquiver picked up for Uzi as well. They're going to work towards this upcoming dragon.
And what were you saying? I mean, Jiejie coming in not only off playoffs, but in recent form, much better. Great lane gank here, and Kitty, we know it starts with Meiko, who set this up as well.
That sidestep from Uzi's Vayne as well, which is absolutely huge. But now with Aki, I mean, Rell, you had the flash, but unfortunately, Vayne, you get more movement speed chasing people, and Jiejie on the Sejuani, putting in so much work as well. However, someone that does go unhighlighted in a lot of the games, and we keep mentioning this, is Meiko. Meiko's Nautilus,
Yeah.
Meiko's Braum, he's popping off in the playoffs so far, but he doesn't get highlighted enough. And I feel like even in one of the series wins up against WE, it was through Meiko's Nautilus, and it was through hitting every single hook onto the important carries. So we need to also say that this guy, I mean, he's kind of reliving up to what was once EDG Meiko back in 2021.
I mean, that's the point, right? Reliving up to, because the regular season Meiko was not it. Regular season Meiko was so rough that I feel like now, as you're saying, he's not getting the credit because people are a little bit suspect on what they're seeing. Like, oh, wait, hang on. The Meiko we saw in regular season versus playoff Meiko now is a completely different beast. Feels like old days as EDG with an early gold lead here again in this game, 1500. As Jiejie now and Herald going to be interrupted. Aki coming in, but the smite does get secured by Jiejie. Now zoned off by OMG, but FoFo double dashes in. Herald is gathered, and Jiejie with a great secure. The crowd very happy, apparently, that EDG are now 2k gold up, plus that objective.
And the crowd is just going absolutely insane, like you said. But honestly, Uzi's Vayne making a return into the playoffs is going to be such value out of the tickets for CN tonight. EDG pick up both the Rift Trail and this Dragon in Game 3. And we talked about how these two teams, they've been shining in the early game. And it does seem like if you give them an inch, they will take it to a mile.
EDG definitely know how to, as Meiko setting up for a dredge line. Finds
Again?
it on the bad target, or maybe the good one for EDG. Killer Instinct to get on out. Ppgod as well has to use the quickness. But EDG's bottom lane now have a lane to push out. Bait sealed onto the LeBlanc, actually connects onto FoFo. He goes 2 different ways. Creme thinking about which one to chase, but in the end, he knows he forces out the passive of FoFo and will also have a lane to play.
Although Jiejie's just around the corner if Creme is going to be greedy about this.
Chains there. There's a flash as well. Jiejie, no ulti available. Use it in the bottom side. But Creme still out of the flash, out of the summoner. As EDG all across the board, things are looking good. But can Aki change that?
Oh, he has the Hex Flash. He's looking.
Peekaboo, he says. Condemns great, though. It stops the Magnet Storm. Nicely done. A simple spell. And Aki won't be happy about the results achieved in the end.
Walk of shame for the Rell as well, but I feel like if you don't get that instant engage onto the Vayne, there's a reason why EDG saved counter pick for Uzi. They were just waiting for the stars to align to have this Vayne once again in their pockets, and it's working magic so far. Honestly, forget about the 2v2 because that's no longer relevant in the game now, as we have the plates getting pressured from the Vayne Nautilus lane once again because Jiejie was able to force out the double ultimates.
Out of range? No, that's Meiko's direct line out of range in the meanwhile. Uzi getting caught up in the end. Final hour will be up in a second, but I think they'll just be backing for the time being. Static Shift should be able to be picked up here on this back as well. I will be saying the same about Abel, I believe. Yep, there it is. So as you were saying, Kitty, on the Vayne, with Minion Dematerializer here on 13-13. Backline should be able to be cleared. And Uzi's wave clear on the Vayne is a big plus of this new item. That can make Vayne, I guess, a much better wave clearing bot, where I think Vayne's biggest weakness in the past was, of course, clearing waves, with one of the slowest AD clears, I think, out of anyone. Maybe outside of Quinn.
Yeah, because Vayne, you have to think about how her kit is single target damage, working off the silver bolts as well. But so far, we have seen Aki on this Rell not finding a lot of successful angles from this champion. And the reason why Rell finds so much success in the LPL and honestly around the entire world right now is her aggressiveness in that early 3 levels, where you just make a visit towards the bottom side and you continuously threaten with that Hex Flash. But unfortunately, we didn't see that from the side of Aki, and it kind of feels like he's a little bit lost on the map so far.
Yeah, hasn't done much on this Rell. I mean, again, you got to admit that EDG's Jiejie has been on point. Been very hard to react to this Sejuani. Is now with Herald. Gold shared between Uzi, between Jiejie, and 1 plate left standing here in the bottom side. Still 2,000 the gold lead, but remember that EDG got that dragon towards the bottom side. So I think what we're ultimately saying is that, you know, EDG again with another great early game, and Kitty, we didn't get to talk about scaling yet, nor will we. But the biggest question is how this game's going to play out, especially in the mid game, when they have LeBlanc in a side lane with AP, not static shiv.
Yeah.
Not a split push here. So I'm curious about how different the mid game's going to be, but ignore that for now. Ppgod locked up. Condemn. He can't move. He cannot move. It's not fair. There's a dredge line. There's a prison. There's a condemn. And finally, lights out as death hits him in the end.
And through the mech treads as well, Ppgod is not having any fun. Shanji completely whiffs the keeper's verdict onto Ala. Let's just not talk about that. But bottom lane is snowballing out of control. I was honestly kind of curious on where EDG dropped the initial Rift Herald. FoFo made his way towards the bottom lane and secures all 5 plates for Uzi. Uzi is going to be kind of the safeguard and leeway for EDG to get to that late game, because they do have Ala on his Jax. And you have to consider the fact that OMG, once it does reach extreme late game, like around that 35-40 minutes, no one can really match this Jax in the side lane. And OMG, if they run out of options, they just have to force headbutts and 5v5s off time and time again.
We'll be relying on members like Aki, Ppgod, some of the engage tools here out of OMG, but so far, we might not even be getting to that stage, Kitty. The theme of this series so far has been 20-minute games. It's been over as quickly as it's begun. Through the snowballs we've seen so far, games have ended around 10 minutes later. And now, yet again, EDG have a gold lead. They've got a dragon, another one spawning up. They've got 1 item across the board and an advantage through mid, through jungle here, where OMG, if they fight this, they are going to be at a damage disadvantage unless they find the perfect engage at that.
We do have Shanji rotating first towards his play, though. Ala, he has a ward to work up at the tri-bush if he wants to look for a play.
Okay, the steal. Oh, it comes through. Aki, well done, but now the fate sealed onto the back line. They're all inning Uzi, but as he flashes away, he's not out until Abel blasts him through. Ppgod and Abel, the bottom side of OMG, doing good damage, but they've got to deal with FoFo now. And these 2 big Frank tanks that are destroying EDG. Or rather the other way around. It's OMG the ones getting destroyed as Ala joins in on the backside, kills the jungler. The dragon might have been stolen. Uzi might be dead. But at what cost for, oh my god.
And FoFo is completely online with this Ludens in his pockets. But OMG, we see this Yone 2 games in a row now, but not offering damage whatsoever in these early games. And like you kind of mentioned, these games have been going fast. They've been aggressive. And this was a straight up 5v5 from both sides of this team. Ala teeping into the fight as well. Aki lucky enough to steal this from just a 50-50 smite, with everyone using their gap closer to really shut down this Vayne. But you have to remember the fact that Ala, he is feeding the Kaisa in the backline as well, where there's just no follow-up. Was it Rell in the backline?
Not sure, Kitty, but it was everything used to make their way into the front line there up against Uzi. Everything burnt in the kitchen sink. After that was down, a Nautilus and a Sejuani walk into the bar. What happens then? The rest is really history, isn't it? As EDG now with 5,000 gold under their name. I keep tracking gold, especially in this series, because it just comes out of nowhere. One play, an extra couple of K. Then objective follow suit. And even though OMG stopped the dragon stacking, now they're pulling their attention towards this herald that should bust down. Preferably that mid lane turret as Stretch Line doesn't connect onto a wall. Shanji and Arla battling it out while Ppgod and Naki are seeing what angle they can pick. FoFo with this AP LeBlanc like the good old days. Just poking his head over, adding some pressure as it was the keeper's verdict on the end from Shanji that zoned away Arla, but in the end, EDG still stands strong. Pick up the herald, and OMG can't find a pick off the back end.
Yeah, but with both top and bottom tier 1 towers down for the side of OMG, EDG picking up this Rift Herald, I believe it's the second one into their pockets as well. They're just going to look to tear open the map from the mid lane tier 1 as well, which is relatively straightforward, but we also have to highlight the fact that we haven't seen too much out of Shanji and Creme in this series in particular, where they're very reliant on Abel doing well on this Kaisa. But unfortunately, if you look at EDG, they don't only have one threat, they have three. They have a Jax, they have LeBlanc, they have Uzi that can all jump onto Abel and shut him down a lot, where they have to kind of just duck their heads down and wait for Creme to hit 3 items, because I feel like this Yone is offering absolutely nothing unless he lands that ultimate, which gap closes on Uzi.
I feel like Shanji's role in this game then, Kitty, is very different. Like, this Poppy has a counter to FoFo, Jiejie, Meiko, Arlo, like 4 members of EDG. Feels like Abel's going to be very reliant on where his friendly Poppy is positioning alongside him, as that Herald is going to be spotted. Dropped in mid, taking the turret, more gold for EDG. FoFo jumps forward, Ppgod jumps back, and EDG continuing to exert pressure. Ozaki wants the Hex Flash, but EDG just back away after the charge is taken. And at 18 minutes, almost 7,000 gold in the pockets of EDG over OMG. It's just been a clinic. And again from this jungler, who picked up MVP in Game 2, Jiejie. I keep saying everyone's having a day, but there are many days in the year. And there are many days within days. You know, everyone can have a day in the same team. The point is, Jiejie's having a day. And outside of me, you know, being that kind of human being, Jiejie really is having a good performance with 100% KP.
Yeah, I feel like the difference that is making EDG look like a completely different team compared to their regular split selves is Jiejie and Meiko being able to finally step up and work together as that jungle support duo. And you see them kind of getting early advantages into Uzi's pockets 2 games in a row now. I feel like EDG, they want to cut Creme off here.
Oh my god, he has to go back to the soul. EDG might have an angle, the prediction. Jiejie has to get respect. It was much better than my analogy of days within days. Look, again, the prediction comes through. Creme gets out, but it uses the Fate Sealed. Dragon's up in 5 seconds, Kitty. What rough timing for Creme not to have ulti.
Yeah, and the side waves are terrible for OMG to really receive this play. Luckily for them, they were able to deny that second dragon away to stop the dragon stacking. So I'm assuming OMG, they are going to just leave this one open, especially with Creme needing to force that ultimate out in the side lane as well. But you already see EDG's composition being so potent to Creme in particular, where Jiejie and FoFo have so much gap close and just they cheat tempo by jumping over the walls and just answer to Creme's side lane push as well.
Dragon taken. Arla might be answered by OMG, who are trying to find themselves a topside turret. Arla spotted out. He's walking in. He's going to defend this. The rest of EDG are not nearby. OMG going to try and make a dive, but Kitty, my question is about the damage here. As jumping onto Ppgod first, Grandmaster at Might is available with Flash. OMG are giving him a bit of respect here with the Divine Thunder, but meanwhile, EDG, I mean, if you want to talk about respect, none given towards mid as they push as a 4-man unit. Now with Dredgeline under turret, this Trinity Force Vayne shredding through as Abel versus Uzi. I've been waiting for it. FoFo, go away, FoFo! Make it fair! As Ppgod gets a knock-up with the quickness, Uzi sidesteps, flashes away, condemns and rather tumbles to his death under turret. Ppgod gets the kill as FoFo is going to be crashed down on by the rest of EDG. Hang over the wall as Arla rotates in. A couple of quick kills, a flare of talent, and EDG put pressure on the base.
You may have gotten tier 1 tower by EDG, but I feel like opening up mid lane and letting Uzi going in, I think he went a little too ham. Let's just be honest. He wanted that 1v1 up against Abel and he got the job done, but unfortunately, tumbling into that tower did mean it was an even trade at the end, but now OMG, they're so desperate at crawling back from any opportunity into this game, and it was once again Meiko landing the hook onto Shanji, where I feel like the Keeper's verdict just came out way too late. He let the wave walk in, and then Abel was forced to use the static ship auto onto the wave as well, instantly clearing it, but that meant that he didn't have enough damage to challenge Uzi.
FoFo so disrespectful as, no wait.
Oh, not the
no!
slow-mo and the cleanse. It's close your eyes. Put on the red glasses.
Look, a little bit rough, but still, point was made by EDG. They're so far in the lead, it doesn't really matter, Kitty. Mid turret threatened, Baron now threatened. OMG are losing control of the map, and they have been for the past 5 minutes. But more so, they're losing control of vision. They've only got the scuttle. Then everything else, is completely blind. That's what's keeping them in a safe position in this Baron, but even as they have to walk up in their own jungle, it's not theirs anymore. Ppgod, Creme, Arky have to walk as a 3-man unit just to try and get an inkling of information.
And once again, OMG locking in 4 melee champions coming into this game 3. They're really struggling to find any consistent poke onto the enemy team, where the initial engage from either Arky or Ppgod pretty much just means they have to go. They only have one chance at winning the 5v5, but if that goes wrong, the entire team crumbles, and it kind of feels like EDG, they're playing with the idea of Baron now. However, I feel like OMG can just still flip the game and find an opportunity to come back.
Dredge line on Meiko, but of course back to the soul. Creme goes as defending mid lane turret, which is an objective bounty for OMG, is now pivotal here for Edward Gaming as well. Rather OMG I meant. You know what I'm talking about, guys, is 5 members hover mid. OMG now going to be like, yeah, what do you think of this? Now we're here.
Oh, Allah has a flanking goal on the Jax. He knows he's walking all the way around.
But OMG have found a pick onto Jiejie. If they can pull this off before he gets around, it could be huge, but now spotted on a ward. Arla seen OMG pull back Jiejie with an ulti used defensively as Ppgod. They're on the wrong side of the rift. We have literally swapped sides. We're dancing. Uzi now joining up as well. Jiejie waiting for that ulti. Dredge line out in. FoFo flashed on. Magnet Storm huge. 4-man fate sealed. Creme comes out of nowhere. Puppy separates as well. You mentioned it, Kitty. Shanji gets them away as OMG now pile on the rest. Uzi's down, Arla's out, Creme and Arky, bring it back!
And OMG, they flipped the game through a 5v5 in absolute style. They secure themselves this Baron, and we thought, EDG fans, they were having the champagne open with Uzi picking that kill up in the base, but the game has just completely flipped. They're going to reset with the Baron, and they're going to deny this dragon stacking from EDG as well. This game just became close.
And it's a bounty. Baron's a bounty. You get the 1,500 gold plus extra. It's only 2k in the lead for OMG and Kitty. When I see an all-in comp like that we also mentioned scaling with, I have a bit of fear for Edward Gaming. They're still in the lead, but that was brilliant. We're about to see a replay, I'll tell you now. A replay of Arky set up the jungler who was not doing much in this game. We even said it, Kitty, on this Rell. Not doing too much. And then Arky comes in, and immediately it's a very different story in this next fight.
Yeah, OMG just, I feel like a huge reason why OMG is able to win so many of these games is because they don't care what the situation is. They just force 5v5s. They always play for team fight compositions, and they out-mechanic the enemy team. Arky pretty much played that team fight perfectly, and Shanji getting his ultimate onto the 2 most important members as well. Let's see if they can do it again, though.
Arla's on a ward. OMG practically playing like they don't know as Creme dodges away from the counter-strike, but onto Dragon. This would be number 3 for EDG as Arky running in. He stole one, wants another permafrost there. Arla's burning out. There's the prisoners. Dragon's taken away, but Shanji separated again, but Creme is taking heavy damage from this Jax. This Baroned up team needs to be careful as EDG still getting Dragon, denying OMG from slowing the game down further. But at the very least, a turret off the back end of EDG resetting means OMG can climb that gold again.
Oh, but Uzi isn't in the bottom lane, so OMG, they're going to look for tier 2 here.
Can they find it, though? That's the biggest question. As you said, Uzi's not there. He's pushed mid, but Creme's not here either. He'll have to teleport in as Baron minion in the form of one standing there. Uzi now joining in, though, as FoFo thinking about collapsing. Wards to spot out OMG in this vision line. All it takes is a Meiko hook. An engage from Jiejie, but again, EDG aren't over posturing. They're going to defend Creme. They're going to defend mid. As gold is now only 1,000 in the lead of EDG. And with this turret again being threatened for this next Baron minion wave, with everyone from EDG moving mid, OMG have now equalized off that 1-6 play.
A 4,000 Baron play from OMG. The gold completely shifts over to this roster. Now they're going to work towards the mid lane. But Jiejie, the Glacial Prism just isn't online. Another 5 seconds and then they have the angle to really challenge OMG. But once again, they need to dodge out on the initial Keeper's Verdict from Shanji if they want to have a fair 5v5.
There's no vision where Arky is, though. He's got Hex Flash. Watch Arky, watch Arky. With the ulti again, Jiejie going to be first in line. Uzi is, of course, the target. Baron helping get the push here as there's the quickness in the back line, but again, Creme with the Fade sealed, but no one's there to help him. Creme with a great ulti, but costs him his life. Now EDG for the counter engage. OMG are backing away. FoFo wants that burst of damage, but Ppgod's now out of range. A 1-for-1 in the end, but inner turret goes down as well, and OMG have the gold lead for the first time in this game.
Like you said, a 1-for-1 trade, but the biggest difference is Uzi no longer has that flash available on this Vayne in the next team fight, which is going to be around that Baron. I'm assuming they are just going to give over the Wind Dragon, however, Wind Drake Soul into
here we go,
Vayne.
finally.
The flash ult from Arky was just absolutely beautiful with the Fate Seal connecting as well. The best wombo combo we've seen so far in the summer playoffs, and Shanji sealing the deal with getting double Keeper's Verdict onto the carries of EDG. I mean, this was just perfect from start to finish, and they go Baron off this, and they got a 4,000 Baron play. So OMG, don't give them these opportunities.
Hell yeah. Not a despair as much anymore. This OMG make this a possible win. It was looking so done and dusted. It still could go EDG's way as the Dredge line starts it off. FoFo might have a pick on the Ppgod, but Ppgod is not burnt down. It's only a 2.5 item. LeBlanc and Ppgod went Radiant Virtue with the Knight's Vow, so he's got a bit of stats behind him. But Kitty, EDG, that's what they're down to right now. They're down to picks, using LeBlanc, using Sej, Nautilus, finding a pick on some of these members so that they can threaten things like Baron setup, so that they can look for Soul coming up in a minute 40. Because it feels like if OMG are given another 5v5 with conditions like that, EDG will lose.
Yeah, one more 5v5 going in the way of OMG, and I think that's game, because you have to consider the fact with Creme picking up that Baron, he is now level 16, so he is going to hurt if he gets his hands onto Uzi. Uzi did pick up both the Triforce and the Wits, the Stopwatch and the Wits End. However, not having that flash available, EDG have to play the team fight slow. They have to bait out the initial engage from Arky or Ppgod and pick off OMG's roster one by one. They can't fight a full-on 5v5 head-to-head because OMG, they have way too many combos to deal with.
It's just so easy, isn't it? As soon as they land one, another follows, and after that it continues on as Arla might be spotted out here. Shattering Strike doesn't connect, and nor does it crash down. Arla's out in the end. Red buff still goes to Arky, shared with Abel. Dragon's up in 40 though. And just notice that both smites are up and available. Jiejie with the level behind, but it won't mean anything. As we're back to the scene of the crime. OMG hovering over mid. Baron's also up in 15. You can see EDG are trying to pick for an angle. Look at where Abel is. So dangerous for him to step up, but he has reliance in Arky and Shanji to keep him covered.
EDG, they're completely disregarding the side lanes as well. Both top and bottom are slow pushing, so if OMG is able to secure that Baron and work towards the side, I feel like EDG are just slowly burning out. FoFo on the LeBlanc, he needs to look for a one-shot potentially onto Abel on this Kaisa. That's probably the only person that's most vulnerable to AP LeBlanc, but we haven't seen too much. He needs to go in for the W and then Q ult to look for those pokes and one-shot someone, at least force them out of the fight.
Creme is just soloing Dragon for the time being. EDG on the wrong side of the map, and they know this is gone. They know that they're losing this slowly. with Cloud and now taken away from a soul for at least the next 5 minutes. OMG have some stalling time, Kitty. That stalling time might get the Void Staff here for Abel. It might get the QSS here. Rather, the Mercurial Scimitar for Creme. Third item, whatever it may be.
All right, Hysterics. But we have GA and Flash coming up for Uzi in this upcoming Baron fight. That's going to be Void Staff picked up for Abel as well. But all eyes on if Uzi is going to be able to make that space and create that space between Rell and Yone. They start up the Baron.
Uzi's going to do it quick with Silver Bolts. Look at the true damage flying through here out of the Vayne with GA's Dredge Line to zone them off. Are they going to finish it? EDG not going to 50-50 instead over the wall, but OMG are starting this off again. Meiko takes a heavy chunk as OMG are healthy enough. They've kept the Baron aggroed. They're now taking it down over the wall. Jiejie can't get the smite as Uzi now has to carry this fight, but Creme again with the Magnet Storm flying through. The all-in from OMG is clean enough, but Uzi flashes over the wall. They're not done. EDG are losing carries left, right, and center, but Arla, Uzi survived. They need to get back in base if they can stop this game ending.
Shanji completely rolls over EDG now with the waves being so terribly set up from the previous exchange. OMG's looking to end.
They are against 2 members, but it's going to be 3 shortly. Meiko's in here. Can OMG really end? Uzi with no ulti. Arla with a flash. Counter-strike is there. Flashes in. Ppgod in threat, but as he goes golden, he does indeed. Arla's now dead, though, as the wave's cleared out. Meiko with the dredge line, but he gets shredded to smithereens as Creme just goes past Uzi. You're not worth looking at. And in one fell swoop, one throw, one advantage, OMG are now suddenly on match point. Everyone from EDG respawning, but 4 members stand strong in front of the Nexus. And they sweep away EDG with a game that should have been theirs.
What a throw from EDG. They must feel terrible with how successful they were from the early game. I mean, this was Uzi's